Okay. Okay, I think we should be live. So this is just going to be a 5700 XT OC stream. I think it should be live at this point, and I think we left the... Yes, this is still set up correctly. So let me know if you can hear me okay. And yeah, today we're just going to overclock the 5700 XT. I haven't done much with liquid nitrogen on this card yet. I pre-tested it for about an hour last night, and it works, but I don't know what kind of clocks we're going to get. I don't really know how well the software works with this setup, so we'll try all that today. Not going to go super hard with this one, but we'll spend a couple hours on it and see where we get. So, yeah, it's the 5700 XT. As people kind of fill into chat, I guess I'll tweet out the link and tell you about the setup we're using. Let's see, we are live with 5700 XT LN2 overclocking. Okay. So the setup is really simple. Basically, we're just using our GPU test bench. So I'm not doing anything crazy. I mean, if we wanted to do like records, we'd use that 3175X over there. But we're just using an 8086K, focusing solely on GPU today, no CPU scores at all. And we're just gonna see how this thing clocks. Once I get a better feel for that, the next step will be maybe a stream with something different. So we could do like 3175X plus 5700 XT, or maybe a better combo, because we're not too capped on CPU here, would be to grab our 3900X and run that at like 5.2 or something with the 5700 XT. I did get the 3900X to 5.2 in some applications with actually Joe's help, and Joe's in chat right now, Bearded Hardware. So yeah, that's probably next step. First, we're gonna see how this thing does though, and learn how it works. And it looks like people are filling in. So what switches on the keyboard? I don't know. Brown. Cherry, I think? I don't know. I don't remember who makes the switches for these. So, yeah, welcome to chat, and welcome Joe, of course. Joe's supposed to come up here at some point in the next couple weeks, I think. So we can do a stream with him when that happens. Maybe, Joe, maybe if you're still in chat, what we can do is the 5700 XT here, or a Kingpin card with the 3900X, and just LN2 overclock both of them. For the LN2 pot on this, I just have, it's an EK critical point. It's an old LN2 pot that they made. I didn't even know they made them until they sent it, just with some other stuff they sent. And I'm really glad they sent it, because it's the only one I have that fits this thing. The other one I have is the Kingpin LN2 pot, and that fits not this mounting hole placement, at least not with the brackets I have. So yeah, so it's the critical point by EK. I don't think they even sell it anymore, but it works well enough for this. The thing is, the die is kind of small, and the power is not that high compared to something like a 2080 Ti. So even though the LN2 pot's not the best we've worked with, it's kind of like lower mass, there's not a lot of surface area in there. In spite of those things, it still works fine, because the die is not pulling that much power down comparatively to other ones. So it actually does cool down really fast still. So yeah, that's the LN2 pot, to answer that question. And then we had some questions of, is it anniversary edition? No, this is actually just the straight reference 5700 XT. I really wanted to use the Sapphire card for this, because the problem with this one, the specific unit that we have, is the memory just wasn't that good, and that's luck of the draw. Whereas our 5700 non-XT has memory that can do like, I think it was 925 or 930, and then our Sapphire card can do 950 sometimes, 940 pretty much all the time. So yeah, unfortunately we can't use the Sapphire card, because it's got these two capacitors on it that right up here, the LN2 pot will not clear those. So if I wanted to clear those, we'd have to do a hard mod and relocate them, which is not in my wheelhouse. So it's something Joe or Buildzoid could easily do. It's not something I really know how to do. So that's why we're not using that card, even though I really want to. They're just in the way of the mounting. But this one is actually completely clear, which is awesome. So, let's see, anything in chat? Will it keep overclocking to 110 degrees Celsius if you keep cooling it perpetually? Probably not. That's what we'll see. So yeah, anyway, we can kind of get started here. It's an 8086K. I think it's at 5.0 or 5.1. And yeah, that's all we're going to do for the host platform. Pretty simple. Bill Wanchalo, $5, thank you. Said, love your stuff. What CPU? Just answered that, but not a 7980XE. It's an 8086K. X47, $4.70. Good luck, dude. Yes, we'll probably need it because I don't have a lot of experience with this card. Okay, and then I'll also mention for today, we're actually going to close the sales for this shirt today. So last chance is during the stream. Once the stream is over, it's gone. It won't be for sale anymore. So the wireframe shirt, the foil one, is on store.gamersnexus.net. If you want to pick it up, I'll try and shout it out during the stream. No guarantees on that, depending on how much I'm doing at once, but I'll try to. And after the stream, you won't be able to buy it anymore. So that'll be it for the wireframe shirt. All right. It's kind of cool that I can see when you're zooming in or not, because I can see the lens like moving. Okay. Let's get started on this. So I'm going to be using, I'll walk through the bench, I guess. Corsair AX 1600i. I positioned the fan of it specifically on this side because I don't want it to suck in a bunch of LN2 vapor and get condensation in the power supply, so that was intentional. And the board is a Maximus 10, CPU is an 8086K, card's a 5700 XT reference design from AMD. We've got just an NZXT air fan. I think it's a 140. Positioned in a way that it can just kind of, I have it twist tied here to a clamp. You can see it's very good engineering. And that's just designed, or placed, it's not really designed. It's placed to blow the LN2 vapor away from the CPU, because I haven't insulated this board at all, so there's no Vaseline or anything on it. We're trying not to kill the board today. If the card dies, that's fine. It's easy to replace relatively, but I'd rather not have that happen either. The biggest concern we're gonna have is with the memory freezing. So I don't have a memory heater for this thing like I do for the KP card, and that's going to cause a problem as we get cold. So I can't really bring this down below like minus 100, and that's because I think the memory starts getting too cold. So I'll need Joe's help on that when he comes up to visit probably. So that's the basics of it. For the insulation, I just have some blue shop towel here, and on the back of it in case I miss when I'm pouring. And for condensation drip as the LN2 pot freezes over, and again, that's an EK critical point one. I don't think they sell it anymore. But yeah, that's the bench. For software, we're going to use this MorePower tool that I found on Igor's website. Igor, formerly Tom's Hardware DE, now igorlabs.media. So I found this on his site, and it allows us to change some of the limits. I think we're still going to be voltage limited. This kind of maxes out at like 1350 or something, but we'll play around with this later. And then got the temperature reading here. So we're at 26 currently. I guess we might as well open GPU-Z and just kind of show what that correlates to. Once we go below 0, GPU-Z will no longer work for this. So GPU-Z is reading 28 for the GPU temperature, and the LN2 pot's reading 26, which is actually really good, but that delta will widen as we cool it down. So that's the setup. Any questions in chat right now? Just joined, did we get to infinity yet? Not yet. And then let me check if there's any. Short is on pre-order. Why? Because we have a limited allocation of these, and we need to figure out what sizes everyone wants. Because the first time we did these, we ended up with a good amount of extra smalls left over, and I don't want that to happen. So, yeah, so we take the orders, and then we take the allocation, and we divide it into the sizes that everyone buys. That way we can accommodate everyone's size up to, I think we can do 4X with these, and down to XS, extra small, without ending up with a bunch of extras, or without like having the biggest pain in the ass of the shirts is you always end up with something left over in some size. And I feel like if I overbuy large, because I think everyone's going to buy medium large and extra large, then we end up still selling out of those, and we have a bunch of other sizes left over. So that's why it's on a pre-order. That way we can actually allocate the sizes to fit everyone's needs within our sizing capabilities. All right, so I need to pour some liquid nitrogen into the containers, thermoses. Steve, isn't LN2 heavier than O2? So placing the power supply below the bench doesn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to be pouring the liquid nitrogen on the power supply. But yeah, the nitrogen gas will kind of sink down a bit, but this is blowing it up and away. And then whatever spills over the side, for the most part, it's not going to get sucked in here. I mean, some, yes, but there's also a plastic shield in there between the fan and the grill, so we'll be fine. I've done this before. It's not an issue. And I also can't really place the power supply above the bench. So that's what we're doing. So yeah, this is the Doer. It's got maybe 20 liters of LN2 in it. And to my left is a 180. I'm going to talk while I do this because otherwise it's really loud on the mic. To my left is a 180 liter cylinder that we can maybe show off. Got another one next to that. They are pretty full. One of them is maybe 150 liters left. The other one should be about 170 with the leakage. And for people who haven't seen these streams before, we have a few tools. So Doer, 30 liter Doer. The LN2 gets into, and if you've heard this, sorry, but it'll be quick. LN2 gets into here through the transfer hose, which is this thing. So that's transfer hose. These are actually really expensive. It's like 400 bucks. But you hook this up to the cylinder, and then you, I close this really hard, loosen the valve if you can. Joe taught me you hold on to it while doing so that it doesn't fly up and hit you in the face. I think they actually accidentally gave us a high pressure tank for this one, and that's a 22 PSI tank, which is what I want. But higher pressure tanks, kind of annoying. Sorry, it's gonna be loud for a second. So it'll quiet down though. So that's the LN2. It eventually stabilizes and comes out at a more even pace. But I'm sure Chad's freaking out about the audio. So yeah, we use that to fill the Doer. It quiets down after a bit. There's your LN2. And that hose will get very cold in a second. It's a bit of a delay on that, but yeah, so that's how that comes out. And then how much does the nitrogen cost you? Really good and common question. So I think those are $177 each before delivery and taxes. They're $177 each. Delivery costs a bit too. And then we rent the tanks till we give them back, which I don't know what that costs either right now, but yeah, so $177 each. Someone in chat said better to use it as fast as possible, which is true as well. You really don't want these around. Like we've had these for maybe 2 weeks now, and you lose some through leakage. That one's slowly leaking off. You can hear it, and that's because they're pressurized. And if the pressure is detected as too high by the sensor, then the valve will open and it'll leak the nitrogen gas so that it doesn't explode. So that's expected, but it does mean that you lose some of your LN2, which is obviously unfortunate. Okay, so that's answered. And then let's pour a couple more of these. These thermoses I'm using, these are just Stanley cups on Amazon. They're nothing special. It's not like it's advertised as an LN2 container or anything like that, but it is good at it. These were Joe's recommendation. I just copied him and bought what he has. Bearded Hardware, if you don't know who he is. As for another common question, and I know a lot of you have heard this spiel before, but when it comes to safety questions, I guess, like does it hurt when it gets on your skin? The demo that we give a lot is this. If it just kind of hits you, it'll evaporate right away or fall off. It's when it soaks that it hurts. So if you were to pour that into your shoe and soak your sock in it, then that would be suboptimal. But up until that point, it doesn't really hurt. So you'll feel it sting a little bit, but not in a painful way, just like oh, that was really cold for a split second. And then if you do soak in it, like if you put your hand down in a pool of it or something, it'll burn, so you end up with burns like if you put your hand on a stove, same idea. It's minus 196 degrees Celsius for the temperature. And I'd probably, we're only at 30, so it's actually not that hot right now, despite no LN2 being in there. Well, that fan is blowing the LN2 all over the mouse pad. Put a bit in there. So anyway, GN wastes more liquid nitrogen, proving to chat that you don't need gloves to handle it. Yes, that is what we're doing. As I've said before, the cryo gloves for this are really thick. You don't want to use like leather gloves for it. So you use cryo gloves for it, and then you have no more dexterity. Like it's impossible to handle anything without spilling it all over yourself. So it's safer to not use that. All right, what drivers are you using for the card? I think the ones from they're fairly recent. I don't know, July 31st or August, early August or something. Okay, let's start messing around with it. Does the mod mat work as a mouse pad? You can use it as one. We don't necessarily recommend it. I mean, I use them because we have them everywhere, but it's a grippy surface, so it's meant for gripping the screws and stuff you put down. And if you like more friction when you're moving the mouse, it's fine. If you want a smoother surface, then we have mouse pads instead for that. So I think we should do a baseline run here. And we're gonna go ahead and I guess just close GPU-Z. We'll run, I think we'll just do time spy non-extreme today. And time spy, graphics only. I'm not gonna get this super cold. We're just gonna get it cold enough to run. And let me make sure everything's reset in Wattman and everything. And then we'll run a baseline and see what kind of numbers we're starting with, and then we can plot as they go up. Is your angle okay on the screen, Andrew? All right, cool. D. Smith, I treat my patient's skin cancers with LN2. It is certainly capable of doing, let's scroll up, significant harm, not to be treated as harmless. Yes, that's definitely true. It is used in medical. So there's actually medical grade LN2. They ask us if we want to buy every time, but it's also not quite as dangerous as a lot of people think. For this kind of stuff, I mean, I don't know anything about the medical use. So we're just gonna put a bit in there. I think that fan might be a little too fast for this because it is spraying the LN2 before I can get it into the pot. But we're just bringing it down to maybe 0, and that's it. And we'll run it. I've got a torch as well. Common thing that Joe likes to demo is there oxygen still in the room, because the nitrogen gas does displace oxygen. First of all, this is a giant room, so that's not an issue. There's active air conditioning running, so not an issue. But if you were concerned, you're benchmarking in a really small room or something, then the question is, can you still light a torch? And if you can't, then there's no oxygen in there. Although was that in the EVGA one where we did that, explained all that, and then I went to light the torch and nothing happened because it was locked? Chat was like, ugh, get out of the room. All right. So, yeah, I'm just running it at 5 degrees right now. And that's gonna be it. We're not trying to actually do any overclocking. I haven't changed any settings. It's running basically stock at the moment. So we're gonna let that complete, and that'll give us a baseline number. Okay. So yeah, that's our LN2 pot temperature right there. It's about 8 degrees right now. I will be using more power, but I'm not currently. It is currently just 0% power offset. No changes to the frequency, anything like that. We have not hit infinite frequency yet, but I'm sure we can. No Beardo hardware. He was in chat for a bit, but he I don't know if he's still hanging out or not. But he'll come by in the next couple weeks. He's going to be driving up through here, so we'll be able to accommodate another, hopefully with CPU and GPU simultaneously, both AMD ideally, for his visit. So as far as installation, you can see the blue shop towel, which is catching some of the overspray when the fan's blowing it past the LN2 pot. And then the Vaseline is on the card. So I've got that on the MOSFETs, on the memory, on the back of the card, and ice will actually build up, like crystal ice on the back of the GPU, direct opposite of it. And that's why we have the Vaseline on there, to prevent it from shorting out as that turns into water. And the best thing with LN2 versus when we were doing chilled water is that it does turn into ice, and so the condensation concerns are minimized greatly compared to chilled water, because it just freezes and stays in place. All right, Bearded Hardware is still here. Let's see, some super chats. Juan Vargas, hold up. We them boys, I think is what that says. Manjustri, $5. I just got my reference 5700 XT. I've heard the G12 Kraken bracket doesn't work. Any info on that? I'm actually not sure. I haven't tried that one. That's kind of a bit of a higher baseline than I thought, but not bad. I know that the Arctic coolers do, those old Arctic, they called them hybrids. And there's a hybrid 140 that we use in our mod. And there's a hybrid 120, there's 240s, they have air coolers that's like, what is it called, like Accelero, dual Accelero or something. So you can use those, they have the same hole spacing if the G12 isn't working, and I haven't tested that. The Arctic stuff does, it's a bit harder to find these days. So I'm gonna write down our baseline. This was just at like maybe 20 degrees Celsius or so, between 5 and 20. It's kind of sloppy on that. Currently at 2, and score was 9461, and then no changes. So that's our baseline. 5700 XT notes. Let's see. Another super chat. Bill Anchalo, $4.20. Stonks. Benchmarking and gaming, $5. Good luck overclocking. May your temps be low and scores be high. We'll see. Hopefully they are. Daniel Silva, $5. Thank you for your authentic reporting. Love your videos, great work. Thank you for supporting it. Okay, so let's do some basic stuff here. We'll do, I think I have a PowerPlay table mod on here right now. We can do more though, but we'll start with whatever's on here. And power, yeah, there you go. So we can bring it, I actually have it modified at the moment. So you bring it up to 99. 90 is kind of the highest default one. You can push it up a bit more than that. But let's just set that to 90 and leave the memory alone at the moment. The memory is going to be the most important for score. Unfortunately, this card's really limited. The memory on here kind of stops around 900, but we'll try it later. And I'm actually going to leave score alone and see if only increasing the power allowance and decreasing the temperature does anything for us. So let's pull the card down to, I don't know, maybe minus 70, minus 80, somewhere in that range. And then we'll start the next run. So this is a pretty small LN2 pot, as you can see, and the fan is pretty fast, so it's blowing a bit of it over, but later on maybe we can do a top-down shot of the LN2 pot. I'm gonna torch it at some point. After it gets cooled down a bit, we'll torch it, try and create some ice. This is something Kingpin taught me. Create some ice crystals in the pot by torching it after it's maybe minus 40, minus 60 range, and bring it back up, and then that'll give us a more reactive LN2 pot. So as we pour in there, it'll evaporate quicker. It's more surface area from the ice crystals is how he explained it to me. I don't know the exact science behind it, but it does help increase the rate that the LN2 soaks, because right now it kind of like starts bubbling there in the top, and what we want is it to evaporate as fast as possible to bring the temperature down. So we'll torch it to help with that. Got a super chat from Wishbone. Good to see you here. $2. If SNK can make next gen, why can't Sega? I don't know. I think you asked about that last time, and Patrick and I were unaware of this even being a thing. I have no idea. It may be licensing is probably to do with it. I'm not sure who owns all those licenses these days. Or maybe Sega just doesn't care and they make more off the licensing than they do off making first-party hardware. Bearded Hardware, $199. Have to run Slacker. KP comes Monday. 3900X came now. He already had a Kingpin card, so I guess, Joe, is your first one officially dead? Is that it? It's done? That poor mod mat has taken so much abuse. Yes, it certainly has. But it's holding up great. That's the purpose of it. Steve, stop being lazy and solder better memory on it. All right. We're at minus 53 now, so I'll bring it down a little more and then torch it, and then we'll get going. Patrick, do we have any of those fan resistor cables? Or can you grab one for me if we have it? I'm gonna slow this fan down without going into BIOS. Oh, I'm being told Joe did kill his, CC is saying it's Dunsky. So Joe's KP is Dunsky, I guess. That's unfortunate. The first ever KP Dunsky. Oh, so we don't use them? Thank you. I only need one for this. So these are like Noctua's low noise fan cables or whatever they call them. They just have resistors in them, and we taped over them so we don't accidentally use them for testing when we need 100% speeds. But now that's causing problems. Okay, there we go. So my plan is to plug this into that NZXT fan, slow it down a little without having to screw with BIOS. All right, so it's at minus 80, and this is almost off. Let's torch the LN2 pot a bit. Patrick, I'll let you finish pulling that tape off. It's pretty close, if you don't mind. So we're gonna bring this to like minus 40. And that'll just give us some, I should unplug the fan for this. That'll give us some extra room for, or some faster soak time for the liquid nitrogen. So we're just gonna torch this down. I wanna bring it down, let's call it minus 50. We'll split the difference of the two numbers I said. Minus 50, heat it up a bit. There it is, there's minus 50. Let's go a little lower actually. Okay. Just getting some crystals forming in there, which is what we want. Pour some more LN2. And now we can start running this thing. And I filled it up that time. Yes, do not try at home. I agree with that statement. Oh, good. Bearded Hardware says a new Kingpin card came. So, I'm not sure if you paid for it or not, but I'm guessing no. In which case, it pays to no Vince if you're Joe, because from what I've been told, Joe is notorious for killing hardware. Der Bauer said it. Vince has said it. I said, Vince, what's your favorite thing about Joe? And he said, oh, I don't know. He kills motherboards, and Roman says that he kills CPUs. Thank you. I guess we'll tape over this again later. Yeah. Do we know how much this lowers the noise?
No.
Oh.
We just plugged it in and decided never to use it.
Okay, we just plugged it in and decided never to use it again. So, it's a Noctua calls them low noise cables. It's a cable with a resistor in it. So it slowed down the fan a bit, which will help with the pouring. All right. Yeah, so let's bring it down. Or actually, we're pretty close already. Let's just hit run and get this. There's no overclocking. All I've done is increase the power target. And is that it? I think that's all I did. Increase the power target. So we're just going to see if the power target increase alone gets us anything here for frequency, just based on the boosting behavior of the card. It will boost pursuant to power, thermal, and other parameters like VF, silicon fitness, stuff like that. But thermal and power are the first two that we hit. It is actually, I brought it down a bit too cold. It might crash if the memory freezes. Super chat, bearded hardware, $1.99. I kill everything, he says. Faff about, $5. Thank you. Says to infinity and beyond. Mr. Me, $5. You should put a Buzz Lightyear sticker on the reference shroud. So we got 2 related comments. Did it freeze? Maybe I brought it too cold. 2 related comments. I agree, though. We should get a Buzz Lightyear sticker for the shroud, and then Disney can do a copyright strike on us. I hear they're very litigious. I think it crashed. I think I brought it too cold. Oh, no, okay. It's just Time Spy being Time Spy. All right, let's run that again. Good news is we didn't crash the system. Okay, it's alive, kind of. Oh, there you go. So right there, let's get a shot of that. Just remember the GPU will opportunistically and aggressively continue to boost until it hits 65,487 degrees Celsius. So that is our current temperature. Might be inaccurate. It's a bit sluggish right now. I think it is too cold. This card's kind of sensitive, I've noticed. Oop, got some fire. All right, let's try that. Try that. Is it back? It is back. Okay, cool. So I brought it too cold. We'll stay above minus 100 degrees then. And also try not to torch the towel next time. Okay, so I'll keep it at minus 80 for this one maybe. 65,000 degrees Celsius. Is this real live? No. It's not, it's pre-recorded. So RDL asking in chat, is this really live? It's not. But we did know you would post that comment. That's literally the temperature of a blue hypergiant. Someone says 65,487 degrees Celsius is fine and within spec. Okay, so we're at minus 70. Let's keep it no lower than minus 80 for now. I was able to get it to about minus 100 last night, but it does start doing some of that, like freezing up in Windows, because I'm thinking because the memory, I need like a memory heater on here to help with that. The memory gets too cold and it can't do it. Okay. Let's see, super chats. We got $2, message retracted. Mustangs by Matt, $5. Good to see you, Mustangs by Matt. Says the 10 terabyte Seagate Iron Wolf is, quote, more bulletproof than the 1 terabyte WD Blue I sent you. Do you want it for this set? Also LTX 2020, question mark. I will be there, and if you're there, make sure you tell me who you are so I can thank you for, I'm guessing it was you, Mustangs by Matt, I think, who sent this over. So this is a WD Blue that a viewer sent in. It's quite sharp, actually, and we weren't sure if it was a threat or just a demonstration, but there's a bullet hole in it. If you really shot a 10 terabyte Iron Wolf, I'd be happy to put it in the set background. This one's been in the set background since we got it. Is that just a data destruction technique, I guess? Kind of like a fun way to destroy the platters on the drive. Message from Dan Law, $5. Stream and game on a budget. Would you recommend the R5 3600 and a 5700 XT with a B450 Tomahawk, 3600 RAM, or go with Intel and NVIDIA? Stream and game on a budget. I'm liking the 3600 and the 5700 XT, yes. The B450 Tomahawk, we have no issues recommending. It's been a good board, but I have been told by a few people, some people recommended I check the whatever, I guess MSI subreddit maybe. I've been told by a few people that the B450 Tomahawk has some kind of BIOS issues right now. We haven't had those issues, but we haven't done a ton of 3000 series on B series boards. So maybe do some research on those, see if they might affect you. But I'm fine with that recommendation, definitely. And then 3600s, I mean, that's more than enough for the memory speed. You come down if you want. All right, so no real changes here. I didn't, just as a reminder, didn't change anything in the clock settings. So we're at like minus 81 during that run, 94.74. The first score is 94.61. So no real changes, other than all we did was increase power target, which didn't do anything without the other change, the other actual overclocking. So we need to do that. And someone says the WD Blue drive looks like it was shot by a 45, I think. Steve, it's the approved method to destroy data on platters. I believe it. Shooting it is probably a good idea for destroying data. I'm quite positive it works well, yes. Okay, so let's leave that at 90. Oops, don't want, no fan attached, that's pointless. Now let's just, should we just go the Wattman route, I guess? Why not? Let's bump that curve up a bit more aggressively, and let's do like a 2200 maybe. Let's see how that runs at 1240 millivolts. And we'll increase the voltage allowance later. As a reminder, the number you type in is not necessarily the number you get. So actually, it's not the number you get. So if we type in 2200 here, I guess I'll run one with GPU-Z just to kind of demonstrate this. If we type in 2100 or 2200, that's not the number it'll run at. The score is not going to be comparable this time. Oops. Come on, Windows. Someone in chat definitely just learned that you can do that, and now they're going to shake Windows around on their desktop to emulate it. So the score won't be comparable running it in windowed, but it will allow us to see what GPU-Z thinks the frequency is during this run. So we're going to boost. It should run higher than what I type in on average because of running below ambient. But yeah, so actually it's not. It's 2130, let's call that. And I typed in 2200. So there's your demo. Now it is a curve here. We could use Afterburner, but it does roughly the same thing, just for your information. I know people are probably going to ask about it. So Afterburner does do about the same thing, even though you only have one number you can type in. And the end result is that our overclock is not 2.2. It's whatever this number averages out to be. But the set is 2.2, so we'll go by that for ease for now. It's 2148 is roughly where it's running, and this is, I should probably be monitoring the temperature. This is at minus 50. We do need to be colder later. But there's a quick demo of that. Let's, yeah, the temperatures are not accurate for those asking. Let's kill that, let's kill this, and set it to, let's do 2250, I think is one of the higher set numbers people have gotten for chilled water. We're at 1240 millivolts, so might need to bring that up. Let's run this. And we'll drop it to, let's just do minus 80. I need more LN2. One of the things you have to be careful of here is as the lip of the thermos freezes over, you'll start getting water on there, and you can actually end up going and pouring like a bunch of water into the LN2 pot, which is bad, because then you have a layer of water separating the copper from the liquid nitrogen pointing above it, and so you have to break it down at that point. So we try not to allow that to happen. All right. So it is running. I just set it to 2250. We're going to keep it at like minus 70, 80 range. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, if you want to pick up the wireframe shirt that I'm wearing, not literally this one, but the same design, this is the last time we're selling them. We're going to close sales after the stream, and then we'll get them made to the sizes that people have ordered and send them all out to you as soon as those are done. So you can pick it up on store.gamersnexus.net. It's foil, silver and blue, and it's a wireframe logo. And on the back, we've got some polygon shards as well. If you want some kind of technical design that is a bit that you could wear in public and no one would know that it's a nerdy design. Hey Steve, MSI 5700 XT Mech OC is out. You should review it. We are working on more 5700 XTs. Yes, we are working on those. Okay, some store purchases. Let me read a few of these. I'm not going to get all of them, but if you buy something on the store, I will try to shout it out. Depending on how much is going on, won't always be able to do it. But this is fulfilled. Got one from, where are you from? Belgium. Wouter? Purchased a foil wireframe shirt. I'm sorry for how I pronounced your name. Thank you for the support. And then let's see, we're at minus 78. Next one is from Brandon in Colorado. Picked up a wireframe shirt as well. Thank you. I'm gonna get some the normal chat and super chat in a bit. We had an order from Daniel, who picked up, from Las Vegas, picked up a video card components poster. Thanks for picking that up. We have one, I don't know if that might be glared out. We have one over there too, but that's got all the video card components labeled on it. Kind of cool, semi-educational poster with the layout. Let's get one from the start of the stream. How about this one? Michael from Ohio, you were the first one to buy during the stream. Picked up a wireframe shirt as well. Thank you, Michael, for being the first to order during the stream. And then last one I'll read for now, Brandon from Massachusetts. Picked up a wireframe shirt. Thank you. All right, what's chat saying? I'm looking at the normal chat now. 99.23 for the score on that. So, oh, what was that comment? Dark One, I guess. If I buy a shirt, can I come to get an autographed one? If you come to any of the places where we meet up with people, so like LTX, I've autographed a lot of the shirts there. Any of the trade shows, and then we'll probably do one locally at some point. I don't know when, but keep an eye out for that. And then the answer is yes, but we don't have any way to sort of individually personalize them as they're shipping. But if you buy one and then meet up with me somewhere, if you're local, we do a local meetup at some point. Come get it signed then. Will there be another run of the shirt? Asked by Bobby Barron. No, just one. So this is it. Once it's closed, we're not doing any more, just because of the size of our operation. It's easier to kind of do one run and close it out. So we're at minus 80 for that. 99.23 is the score, which is an uplift, but we didn't really do a whole lot. I'm gonna record the set number, which is not the get number, but we set 2250 for clock. We're at plus 90%. And so some quick math here is, let's see, where were we? 94, the original number, 9461. That was at 20 degrees Celsius pot temperature, so it's probably 40s, maybe 50 for the GPU. 9461, and now we're at 99.23 minus 9461. 9461. So it's 4.8% uplift so far, which is obviously not great, but we need to do some more. So let's just type in 2300. Let's see if we can get away with still running at 1240 millivolts. Is that what that's set to? Yes. And let's bump the back end up a bit. If it will, please respond. Okay. All right, never mind, forget that idea. Let's run this with set to 2300. Did I click apply? Yes. Okay, cool. All right, just making sure everything's set. So we're just doing time spy today, no extreme. Let's run that again, graphics 1 and 2. 2 is gonna be more memory bound. We'll do that in a bit. When are the AIB 5700 series cards coming out? I don't know. They're supposed to be out this week. So I'm not sure. I was told available Wednesday, and then I don't think that happened. I think some of them went up on Amazon and Newegg as like out of stock or maybe back order, but I actually That might be too cold. No, it's gonna be okay. All right. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. What I was told is what you all probably read online, because everyone was told the same thing. So yeah, unfortunately, I have no idea when the partner models are actually coming out. All right. Any reviews yet for the XFX Thick Boy? I like that we've renamed it to that. I am keeping my eye open for that one. As soon as it's available online, I'm buying it. I'm pretty positive they're not going to send one to me, but we will buy it. I'm curious to see how it does. The cooler is fat, so it's not like RTX fat, but it's pretty fat for a relatively low power card comparatively. So I do want to test it, and we'll buy one as soon as it's available publicly. Or if one of you already has one, email us and we'll borrow it from you and send you some merch and then return it to you in like a week or so. But I don't know that anyone can even get it right now. Maybe if you're near a micro center or something. That's too cold. It's gonna freeze if I let it run at that temperature. So I'm trying to keep this at like minus 80 to minus 85 at this point. Going below minus 90 concerns me that the memory might freeze up, which is what we saw earlier, saw last night when I was pre-testing it. I did get it down to minus 100 for a bit, but it didn't last very long. Ha ha ha, the power supply fan's not working. No, the power supply is not. This is why I asked Corsair, what's your most common RMA? And they said there's two. One is the user thinks it's broken because the fan's not spinning. And then that's the most common RMA. The other one is a roach crawled in it, got zapped and died and killed the power supply, which is, you gotta feel bad for the RMA tax for that. They also told me once that they found basically a colony of dead ants inside of a power supply. So if you're gonna RMA your components, be aware of what, maybe power wash them first. But yeah, so the fan is not spinning because it's not under any load. This is a 1600 watt power supply, and the CPU is not doing a ton right now. It's mostly a GPU load, and the GPU is not super high on power, a couple hundred watts maybe 300, something in that range. Any comments on the existence of a 2080 Ti Super? NDA, question mark? I have no NDA on that, and I don't know if, I've not been informed that one exists. So I don't know if there's rumors about it. Haven't really followed them. Okay, so here's our first real scores. We're breaking 10K now, that's good. I kept that at like call it minus 85 that run. We're at 10,071, so 10,000 points. And I typed in 2301 for the frequency, and we're at plus 90 for the power target. Yes, power wash your power supply regularly. Don't actually do that, but that is kind of funny. And that gives us an improvement of, I should be writing down both scores actually, of 6.4%. Let me start writing down both scores. 68.92, 55.42, okay. All right, let's see how far we can push core frequency first, and then we'll worry about the memory after that. Let me get some super chats before moving along so we don't get too far behind today. All right, where did we stop? Bob Flanders, 777, thank you. Hi, Steve, that temperature is going to drop faster than your downhill bike. Hope you're doing well. Getting ready to delid and cryonaut a 4790K. 4790K, I think is, Patrick, is that what you use? I think that's what Patrick uses. And that's, I mean, it's still a good CPU. Delidding, it's absolutely worth it. Bearded Hardware, 199. It's Dunsky, talking about his Kingpin card. Got a new card, picked up a 5700 also. Nice. Snake Man, 429, $5. No message, thank you. My Pet Fish, I don't know if I'm hearing like a crackling. Oh, it was your headphones, okay. It's like, I wasn't sure if something was exploding over here. My Pet Fish Rex, $5. Me and Steve both have a large bottle of Vaseline on our desks, and only one of us is overclocking. Leviathan Prim, $5. Did you mod the BIOS to increase the power? Also, the ceramic mugs coming back in stock. Are they not? I will check right now. So, did I mod the BIOS? Sort of, but not really. The thing we do with this is it's a software mod. So it's a registry mod. Igor from formerly Tom's Hardware Germany does really good reporting. He's now split off. I think he's completely severed that time, not sure. And he runs Igor's lab.media now. And you can go to his site, and he's got the SoftPowerPlay tables. So I think he pulled it from a forum user. I think it's from Helm. And those are pre-configured to go a bit below this. So you can see our range here. I've set it, overridden it to go to 2600. I think the highest PowerPlay table that Igor distributes via his download section stops at here at 2300. And so you can push further here. I'll actually show that next with a separate software tool. And that should answer that question. As far as the mug, it looks like we have a stock of 3, but what are they? Oh, they're all set to the double quantity. So I'll change it to 1 stock of double quantity, which reduces by 2 by 2, so 4. Okay, so I moved we don't have a good system for it, so I split it up so you can buy one of the single ceramic mugs now if you want. Okay, let me do one more super chat here. Where is it? Where did I stop? AZ Tricky, $5. Hey Steve, I love you guys and your work, but dude, it's Saturday night. Go home and have a beard, and you guys earned it. Well, this is the cool thing about the internet is that, and having all of your viewers on the internet, is that days and times stop mattering, because I mean people are going to be watching pretty much any hour for the most part. Maybe smaller audiences at night, but we'll take a break at some point soon though. My Pet Fish Rex, I got yours I think. Leviathan Prim got yours. Okay, so let's do the next step here. I'll keep an eye on the normal chat for a bit. So we are at minus 62. Pull that down some to that should probably bring us to minus 70 already. This is very reactive as you can see. It jumps super fast. I splashed it and did that. So let's type in 2350. We're going to crash at some point. I'm leaving the voltage the same. So 1241. Okay, well, maybe it's actually not, and it's just bugged. Does this one move? Okay, all right. So I'm trying to leave the voltage at 1241. It's 2350, see if that runs. And we're gonna, once we start crashing, we'll increase the voltage. Actually, no, I said I would show this tool. So this is really cool. This is called MorePower tool. It's also on Igor's site. I'm sure it's on Overclocking forums. You can check or uncheck the various things you want to change. Really useful. So originally, if you didn't follow the whole story, AMD had told us that the PowerPlay table overclocking would be broken. We were really sad about that. Fortunately, it looks like that wasn't true, and it does in fact work. So there's a drop down that shows your cards if you have multiple. This has been really helpful. And then stock, all of these will be grayed out. All this stuff will be grayed out. And you load a PowerPlay table to start with. You can download one, like one of the, just a registry file. And once you load the registry file, you restart, these will unlock. You can start writing to that SoftPowerPlay table. That's what SPBT means, I think. So this has typed in 2300. I've obviously already overridden it. We're at like 26. And I don't know how high that number will allow you to go, but memory max overclocks 1000. Power limit max doesn't go higher than 99 for this tool and stuff like that. So this is really useful. I like it a lot, and we'll probably play with that a bit later. But let's do, so we typed in 2350, and let's just run that. I'm trying to get some score scaling while we go so that we can do some math on it later and look at things like memory versus core frequency scaling, maybe do a separate content piece on that. So that's why I'm doing these baby steps all the way up, because I'm typing down all the numbers, and maybe we can do something with that data later. All right, what CPU is it? 8086K. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, how to pronounce. I'm guessing you watched Pro High Tech's video where I appeared and said it in Russian. They did a crash course for me on how to say it in Russian and asked me to intro Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I don't remember how to say it at all. They call it Larka. They call it Larka. I don't remember what. Oh, they call it Larka because I think their host had trouble saying Shadow of the Tomb Raider in English, and so it became a meme, and now they just changed the name of the game. So I'm keeping this. I'm actually letting it get a bit too warm now. But I'm trying to keep it at like minus 80, 85 or so. Very reactive because it's a small die, not insane power compared to the bigger stuff. So small splashes do a lot. All right. Anything in chat? We have a message from Snake Man, $10, thank you. Can't wait for the Lian Li PC-O11 XL. We have it and we've tested it, but that one is embargoed, and I don't know if I can say when the embargo lifts, but we have tested it. I actually don't know the numbers. I haven't looked at them. Patrick did that, so I don't know its performance. It's a bigger O11 dynamic, which has been widely requested, and we will have a review of it, but it's under embargo, so keep an eye out for that. Bearded Hardware, $199. I kill everything. Poor Joe. JOJ, 133.7. I think that's Russian currency. No message, thank you. Big Al, 268. I think that was $10. And said, been watching for the last few months. Love what you all do. Signed up as a Patreon today. Keep up the great work. Thank you for your support. Really appreciate it. And that's cool that you started watching in the last couple months. That means that you got to hit kind of the really heavy content period with all the Ryzen stuff and with Navi coming out and with Super. So, oh, and you got some of our content from China at the back end of it. So that's a good cross section of what we do here. I need to make this pour kind of fast. Oh, I made it through. All right, cool. That was a lot of waste then. So 10,109 and a bit of a burn. And that was minus, like got kind of warm at the end, but minus, let's call it minus 85 again. So 10,109. Score breakup is 69.09, 55.69, and we were set to 2351, and then 90% was our setup for that one. So it's still scaling, and we actually, as expected, more scaling on GT1 than GT2. GT1 is a core test more heavily. GT2 is memory test. If you want to get fancy with NVIDIA especially, I don't know how you do it with AMD. I guess you could with Afterburner actually. But if you want to get fancy, you can hotkey different frequency settings. So if you wanted to run like more aggressive memory in GT1, where it's less memory intensive, you could do that and then hit the hotkey and switch it to be more less memory overclock in GT2, where memory matters more, but it's more stressed, so it's less stable at a higher end. So those are some of the tips you could do to push it a bit further. Let's try 2400. And we're still at 1240 millivolts. So we have not increased voltage yet, and we haven't crashed either on one. Okay. Temperature is still good. Let's see. Bearded Hardware, 199. Can I stream me streaming you? Copyright strike, question mark. Just kidding, he says. Yeah, you really want to make sure we know that, don't you, Joe? Paul the Bearded One Downing, $2. Good to see you here, Paul. Interesting about the memory. Why won't it work low? So I don't know the tech. I should ask some people. I don't know the technical details behind that. I can tell you, oh, there we go, that crashed. I can tell you about it pragmatically, but I don't know the technical details. I will ask around though. So basically, one of the best things you can do is put like a socket heater on the back of the GPUs to keep the memory warm. You can get memory heaters for CPU, for motherboards too. And for whatever reason, GDDR and DRAM doesn't like going too cold. The silicon on the GPU, it'll pretty much keep scaling until you hit a certain point. Like some stuff you can run full pot, some stuff you have to run a bit warmer than that. But the memory, I don't know, I guess it just gets too cold. It bugs out, you get a black screen or a shutdown or something like that. So having a heater on the back of it will prevent that because it keeps the memory warm while still allowing the GPU to get cold. So good question though. As for the technical details of why it happens, I'll ask some people at Intel and NVIDIA or something and see if any of them know the specific technical details of that. So anyway, we obviously had a crash, and the driver does not cope well with instability. So we're just gonna have to shut or restart at this point. Fortunately, the GPU doesn't freak out when it starts cold, so we can kind of leave it where it is, just hit restart, and we'll be good to go. So I'll make a note that we crashed at 2401. So we probably need more voltage, is the takeaway from that. All right, so what's chat saying? Are you cooling the entire card or just the die? So technically the entire card, but the LN2 pod is just on the die. It's only contacting the die. That said, this whole card is actually really cold right now, even at the edges, because I guess if you kind of think about it, ultimately the die is connected through a substrate, some copper layers, to a BGA, to a ball grid array, to the PCB. PCB is comprised of a lot of copper traces and fiberglass and things like that, so it'll conduct. And so that the whole card ends up cooling, and the memory is really close to the GPU on this, so it gets very cold. And that's also why we don't need direct cooling on the memory or on the VRM. So I don't have a heatsink on there, I don't have a fan on there. It's so cold just from the proximity of the LN2 pouring that it's all good to go. Okay, so I'm thinking of more voltage now. Okay. The Stig 287, $827, $5. Time Spy is great and all, but what's the user benchmark on this? I don't know. Useless, probably. Global settings. Wattman, why not? And tell it 90%. Can do 99. Oh, no, okay, it's taken. Well, now, see, before the stream, I tried to restrict some of the overclocking so that I could do a demo, but it actually didn't restrict it, and now it's restricted it after that reboot. So now I get to do a demo anyway. So this is the MorePower tool I talked about earlier. We're gonna rechange this. So 2600 is what I'm setting as the GPU max clock, right to the table. And we might as well tell this to write 99% power and start using that extra 9% allowance. None of this stuff matters. Power limits, maximum voltage. I think this stops at 1350, but let's try writing 1400. And power limit, let's just set like 800 watts or something, whatever it allows us to do. Okay, close that, see if any of those numbers have changed. Yeah, so 1350 is the max core voltage through this tool that I can set. 2600 applied, everything else applied. Let's restart now to make sure those numbers work, and then we can try increasing the voltage over what we did last time. Creepyona, $5. I haven't seen any Gigabyte RX 5700 XT OC reviews yet. Would you recommend it, or have you had your hands on one? I am not sure because I haven't. I did ask them for one, and they don't have them to ship to me yet, so I'm not sure what the ETA is on those for market availability, but I did ask. I think we're on the list. I'm thinking maybe a week or two we might get one, maybe a week if we're lucky. So you'll have to check back for the recommendation because I haven't actually used it yet. I don't know that anyone has. I'm sure maybe there's a review out there somewhere, but. Okay, we don't want Steam. Don't want any of this stuff. Let's see if our settings applied. So that tool, yes, this now is up to 99%. And then we don't care about fans because there isn't one. Let's set this to 2400 again. And this time we'll increase the voltage. We were at 1240 last time, millivolts. So let's drag this up to like, let's just do 1270. And it's waiting to detect the internet. So unfortunately, 3D Mark no longer, at least this version doesn't work without internet connected. So we got to relaunch it. Okay, benchmarks, time spy, no CPU, and run. I'm gonna pull it down to minus 80 again, and I'll check some of the chat. So if you're just tuning in, this is liquid nitrogen pointed into a copper liquid nitrogen pot, they're called Allen-2 pot. And it's actually very reactive right now. It's pretty much evaporating instantly, which is what we want. So we can control the temperature more easily. It's not sitting there fizzling in the pot. And we're at minus 80 right now, which I'm going to leave it there, minus 85 even. JOJ, 400 rubles, I think. +1 for user benchmark. Crack on PC. Oh, minus 72. Crack on PC, we've seen a lot, so thank you for coming back. 50 HKD, the infinite 110C overclocking. Good luck. Yes, that's what we're going for. Infinity as the frequency. Infinity megahertz. Bearded Hardware, 199. Save me a shirt, 2XL. It's a very... Joey, you know you can text me, right? You don't have to spend $2 to... I mean, I'll take it, but... That's funny. I'll save one for you. Speaking of that, though, they are on the store. We're going to close out those sales after this. Distribute the sizes, you know, to get them made, so we can ship those out as fast as we can. So store.gamersnexus.net if you want to pick one up. Okay, we're on GT2 now, and okay, it's coming back up. I was going to torch it if I cooled it down too much, but we're coming back up a bit. GT2 is more memory. Speaking of the store, a couple of orders to read out. There's a lot of super chats, orders, and normal chat combined, so I can't get everything, but I'm going to do my best to balance it. Store order from Andrew in Australia. We have I'm always surprised we have actually a lot of Australian viewers, or store purchasers, which means a lot of stuff has a long track to get there. Purchased a wireframe shirt. Thank you for picking that up and for shipping it all that way out there. Dan from California bought a ceramic mug. Thank you, Dan. That might have been the same person who asked about it earlier. Minus 88 right now. We're getting close to the end of the benchmark, so I'm trying not to pour too much more. It's going to go around this corner and then closing on that ball in the middle, at which point we don't want to drag the temperature down. We had an order from Gregory in Georgia. Picked up a wireframe shirt as well, thank you. Okay, I think that's the last pour, so it's going in on the closing shot there. And then it looks like, did I type in 2400? Yes, okay, so it was actually stable this time. So last time it was not stable at 1240 millivolts, but 1.27 seemed to help, volts that is. And that brought our score up actually significantly, 10357 from, let's see, that was 2400. And we did 10357 from 10109 before. What was the temperature? I kept it at like minus 80-ish. And then individual scores were what? 70.92, so GT1 coming up, that makes sense. 56.96, actually a lot higher on GT2. Last time it was 55.69, and every FPS is kind of a big jump in this benchmark. And that was at 99% power target as well, so that was another increase we had. Okay, I don't know when we're going to hit stability limits, but let's try 2450 at 1270 millivolts. Okay, fine, 1273. See if that works. Just trying to see, ideally keep the voltage as reasonably, I don't know what safe voltages are on this thing. I'm sure up to 1.3 is probably fine for overclocking, but beyond that, I don't know. So I'm trying to keep it as low as I can at a given frequency, and then we'll just increase it once it becomes unstable. Okay. Does GDDR6 go higher with LN2? Actually, we have kind of a problem with it, which is the memory can't be too cold. So, looks like that might be crashing. Does not like 2450. So if the memory is too cold, it'll kind of black screen. I don't think that's what this, nice. That's not what this was. This was just instability from the settings I chose. But it'll black screen, freeze, you get kind of a shutdown. So you don't want the memory to be too cold. Okay. Do you guys ship to India? I'd really like to wear the same t-shirt as Tech Jesus. We do. We ship internationally, actually. So we do have international shipping options, India included. Let's see. Undervolt and push it. Well, I think we need more voltage, if anything. All right. So Zeta, moderator in chat, thank you, Zeta, for helping out, is answering questions saying we are currently at 1/100th of infinity. That's correct. We are trying to hit infinity for our frequency, but we are only 1/100th of the way there. So we are 1% towards infinity, but we're closing in on it fast. So it did not like 2450 at 1270 millivolts. Let's go ahead and bump that. We'll do memory eventually. I want to find the limits of the core clock first. Kind of basic troubleshooting, do one thing at a time. All right, so let's do that. And then drag this up to like 12. You know, let's just do 1.3. So 1296. Close some of the background tasks, Corsair, Steam. All right. Okay, and run. I'll pull that down to minus, I actually need more LN2 again. Let's pull it down to minus 85 or so. That should be enough. All right, so quick run through of the LN2 stuff if you missed the very beginning of the stream. Sorry if it's repeat information, but this thing's a doer. I'm trying to kind of talk right now because it's loud on the mic otherwise. 30-liter doer. These cost brand new like 600 bucks. So they're not cheap. The thermoses I fill, did it crash? Are cheap. These are just standard thermoses, but these are Stanley cups. I buy them on Amazon. I think that's maybe like 20 bucks for each one or something. I mean, it's expensive for a cup, but it works really well for LN2 storage for benchmarking. We don't leave them in these overnight. We only leave the LN2 in containers that are rated for storage of it, like the doer or the cylinders to my left. And those cylinders are 180 liters. They do slowly leak, which is intentional. So that is because they are pressurized, and if the pressure gets too high, the sensor will open a valve. Sometimes the valve stays open, and you have to kind of hit it with a hammer to break the ice and let it close again. But those are $177 each before the delivery fees and stuff. And that's with the LN2, obviously. These aren't ours. We return them once it's empty. Okay, so I have to restart again. Need, I don't know, maybe more voltage or something. I'll see what chat has to say. The other Stanley Cup. Yes, not that one, not the hockey one. All right. Highest yet, I think, was 2400 is where we kind of stopped. And that's the set frequency. I don't know what get was. Bit lower. So, I guess try more voltage with it. Yeah, the screen was freaking out. TR233, lol, at that angle and the sound, it looks like Steve just pissed into it. Maybe I did. Maybe that's where the LN2 comes from. It's actually free. All right, so I guess more voltage. All right, let's do more voltage, I guess. I can't stand Steam's pop-ups. Global settings, Wattman, 99% for the power. That's done through the PowerPlay tables. We were trying 2450, we were not successful. I don't know, should we try just like 1.35? Let's just do the max voltage it allows. Let's drag this end up so we get to that max faster. Time SPY, no CPU, and run. We need to pull that down a bit. Might try and run colder, that would probably help. So for reference, the 2080 Ti's, the Kingpin cards tend to run, the ones we were working on were like minus 120 or so, minus 125. And this thing we're keeping at like minus 90, which is partially because the memory freezing up. The KP cards, we had the memory heaters on. But I'm gonna try running this colder now. Let's bring it down to like minus 95 instead of 85. And there's minus 100, minus 95. Be a bit more patient on the pouring now, see if we can keep it stable. I'm gonna try and read chat while doing this, but it's gonna be kind of a challenge. Where's the last super chat? Super chat from Sam Robinson, $4.99, thank you. First PC build in a long time. One sec. Planning on doing some mild overclocking. What AIO would you suggest on a budget? Depends on the budget, but I haven't looked at the prices for a little while, so keep that in mind. But if budget's so subjective. If you can afford it, a lot of the 280s are really, like, in my opinion, the best mix of compatibility with a lot of cases and cooling performance and noise, because you can keep the noise a bit lower on a 280, a lot lower. So the EVGA CLC 280 has been pretty cheap just because it's really no frills. If you want something that looks better, crack an X62, but that gets expensive. Now you're at like 200, or sorry, 200. Your 280 millimeter cooler is now at $140, $50, something like that. So that is kind of on the high end. I wouldn't call that budget, but CLC 280, the H115i non-pro, if it's still out there, should be pretty cheap these days. I don't think they make it anymore. When they were phasing it out, it was available for like $100, which is a really good deal. Otherwise, there's a lot of 240s. CLC 240, the EVGA one, has been pretty cheap. I don't particularly like the fans on the H100i. But hopefully that gives you some starting points. Of course, also a giant air cooler is another solution you could use. Trying to keep this colder, I keep forgetting. All right, what's the next one? Next question was Bobby Barron. Oh, I got yours. Toasty, $2. Submerged, scrolled up. Submerged LN2 5700 XT overclocking when? Never. Let's leave it alone, see if it can just finish without any more. So we did run a bit colder on average. Let's call it average, minus 87 maybe. It's kind of all over the place, but that's good enough. 10501, so it did pass this time. That's excellent. 71.83 for the core result. I'm gonna give you some numbers on these changes in a moment. That was 2451 for set, 99% power. Okay, so some basic numbers. We were at 9461 originally for this, and I didn't log, I should have. We can do it at the end maybe. I didn't log the individual scores, but 9461, so 10501 minus 9461. So we're at an 11% uplift from the original score. Pretty good. I'd like to see more than that, but not bad. For reference, the KP 2080 Ti's, we saw something like maybe 20% uplift for best LN2 result versus baseline. So that gives you an example of scale on different architecture. For individual results, when we were overclocking, we had a 2300 score or set frequency at one point, and that scored 68.92 for core, which if we do the new result, percent increase, that would be 4.2% increased with this 2450 set versus 2300 set. Pretty good. For GT2, which again is more memory intensive but does use core, 57.81 is the new result, 55.42 is the 2300 result, and so that increase is also about 4.3%. So I'm very happy to see that we actually did manage to get this stable, and that was at the max of 1.35 volts. I don't know if there's a way to set more. I guess I could maybe not use that that tool and like write the BIOS myself or set the registry. I mean myself, but okay. So answering some questions in the normal chat here. Why isn't the power supply fan spinning? Because it's not under a high enough load, and it's pretty cool. So I don't remember the exact temperature, but a lot of the Corsair power supply fans, they won't spin until either it's at some internal thermistor is at a certain temperature. I think it's like 60 C for the ones I'm thinking of, or until the load percentage is at a certain percentage. Call it 60% if we're going to go with easy numbers. But I don't know what the exact like the fan response to power output curve is on this thing, but it's not drawing a lot because CPU is not doing anything. The GPU is relatively low power, so that's why it's not spinning. As for what's the Vaseline for, that's for the video card. So it's pretty slimy and gross, but putting Vaseline all over the board will insulate it. So as this is all ice obviously, as this ice is over, if we let it get too warm or it's, there's maybe condensation forming kind of on the other side of the LN2 pot against the, like over the memory, we don't want that to short out the memory and kill the card. So you put Vaseline all over it, you get a heat gun and heat it up to kind of melt it into the cracks on the board. This is all stuff that Joe taught me. And with that done, the card's pretty protected from water. So that's what all that is for. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that score. Let's see if we can get this clock any higher. Let's try 2500. We're still at the max that the software allows of 1.35 volts. Let's see if it runs. We'll try running at minus 95 again. It's probably already there. No, not yet, but good a minute to launch. Which board? Maximus 10. It's just an 8086K. Nothing special for this one. Are you going to test the Dragon Cooler? I'd like to. So, yes, at some point probably. All right, so we're at minus 97. Okay, minus 95, we're good there. No, I don't think it was too cold, so I think that's just stability, which we might be at the limits of stability with this voltage, in which case we could step it down and then do memory, which would give us another pretty big gain, I think. So let's hit reset on this. Get an F in chat for that, I guess. So 2500 did not run, unfortunately. All right. Anything in... At what point is a warranty voided? Well, quite a while ago, I would say. Okay. So I guess I'll try that one more time. Maybe we can go colder and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then, well, we'll have to just go with memory next. Okay. Rodark one, $5. New challenge. Laptop LN2 OVK. I have a 980M SLI, 1080, 2080, and can brain it. We just need compatible Allen 2 pots. I'm local. Is it the 980 MSLI? I don't think we can even do anything with that. Yeah, compatible Allen 2 pots might be a problem. Let me know when you have like that Alienware one with the swappable CPU and a custom BIOS from them, and then we can definitely do something. The one I worked on with Linus on his channel, that would be fun to do again with better cooling. Okay, let's just set that to 99. We're doing pretty well here, actually. I didn't expect it to go this smoothly. We are going to start hitting the point where it does not go smoothly anymore, though, because we're at kind of stability limits. So even though that says almost 1.4, it's 1.35. Drag that up and just level out that curve a bit. Apply. Okay, I'm gonna bring this down. I'll wait till it launches and I'll bring it down to like minus 100 this time. Hopefully the memory doesn't freeze up. Now we're starting to change more than one variable, so it gets a bit harder to know if we're crashing from the memory freezing or from the clocks, but it's probably gonna be the clocks. Cooper, $5. Have you listened to King Gizzard's new thrash album? If so, what do you think? If not, check it out. I'm gonna be in the latter camp and be in the if not, check it out. I do have a small list of bands that some people were talking about in the last stream we did a few days ago. So I shall add that to the list. King Gizzard's new thrash album. Daniel Sterling, $2. How do the zip hoodies fit? So if you mean the, I need to be doing this. If you mean the two-tone ones, the Raglan hoodies, it's gonna crash. The Raglan hoodies, I would say are like slightly tighter than your average sizing for like an average, I don't know, Bella and Canvas shirt or something, some standard US shirt. The thicker hoodies are on the bigger side, they're winter, but yeah, if you're talking about the two-tone Raglan one and you're kind of like borderline on your size, like borderline M and L, then probably go L for those. But otherwise they're pretty standard, just right on the edge. Okay, let's try that again, but colder. I wasn't paying attention enough. Kevin Francis in chat says, what a waste of time. Joke's on you, man. You're in chat posting comments about it. I'm getting paid to do this. You're the one in chat talking trash. All right, let's try this again. So last time I'm gonna try on this, we could do like 2475 and start splitting the difference, but last time I'm gonna try is just actually properly pay attention to the temperature this time and try and start it colder at the beginning. And see if that does anything for us. Close background stuff. I should just kill those in MS config. Okay. Time spy, no CPU, run custom. Let's pull the temperature down. So come down to minus 100 or so. Spilling it everywhere at this point. That is what the paper towels are for. Go, 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 go. It's gonna be it. Either it's gonna work or not. Oh, okay. Temperature matters. Okay, that gives me some hope. That's much better than last time. So maybe we can try running this at minus 120. I haven't brought it down that low yet, but let's try that, see if it survives. Let's see. Steve, can you talk about temperature rise and what actually happens in the GPU when you pour Allen 2? A little bit. So the basics, really super basics, are that there's a I guess, not overclocking anything. You talk about boosting behavior. There's a VF curve, and then there's a temperature frequency response. So like NVIDIA is an easy example because they've been doing it a long time. AMD has started doing this as well, but lower your temperature is the higher frequency is to an extent. So typically until you hit power limits. So with the, I think it's too hot, so it's having trouble booting. Sorry, too cold. So if you were to drag the temperature down to a point, maybe let's say down to 90 junction instead of 110, then in theory there's more frequency boosting headroom there, maybe a couple megahertz, like 12 or something, but it'll depend on your power limits too. As for what happens when you pour Allen-2 on it, well, you pour, so the pot, we torched it a bit at the beginning, formed some ice crystals in there, and there's a really fast reaction now. So as I pour the Allen-2 in, what we want is it to evaporate instantly. What we don't want is it to bubble in the pot. That typically means that it's not really evaporating quickly if it's doing that. So reasons for that would be a lot of water buildup in the bottom or something. So like if there's a bunch of water in the bottom of the pot from the ice up here melting, falling in, then that would create a barrier between the liquid nitrogen we pour in and the copper, which is also a barrier between the heat source, the GPU, and the Allen-2. And so then it just kind of bubbles and doesn't do anything. But I guess, I don't know if that answers your question. It's pretty wide. Okay. Do you and Linus get along with Unbox Therapy? I've never met Unbox Therapy. That's from Tech is Amazing, $2. Never met him. Not really the same side of the industry, or the same industry. Okay. What did I say we're gonna try? Minus 120, I think. Let's do that. Let's see if we, it kind of ran last time, better than previously. So up here, up there, let's drag that up. Let's go for like a straight curve. Is it really a curve if it's straight? It is a line, I guess. A line segment is what we have now. And let's see if that runs. Minus 120. I never want to give up on this stuff, but I'm thinking this is going to be the last kind of push before we have to give up on core and start doing memory instead. But I say that a lot because I don't really want to walk away from it. Okay, pull it down. I'll start with minus 100, and then once that loading bar is up, we'll go to minus 120. Okay, there's minus 100. Vor Connoisseur, $2. Is there a disadvantage to DDC versus, let me bring this temperature down, D-lid, I think that said 9700K. It might just freeze up. Yeah. So we might be limited to 2450 there for the core, which is not bad. Yeah, I think that's it for that attempt. Yeah. Okay, DDC versus a D-lid. By DDC, do you mean direct die, or do you mean DDC pump? Direct die, maybe? What CPU is it? 9700K. Oh, we shouldn't, this isn't even worth talking about. I wouldn't bother D-lidding 9700K. It's just not, it's not worth it. The solder's already so good that you're just kind of fighting over such small gains. Yeah, the voltage limit is a big big limitation for us. We need more. Definitely need more voltage. Okay. Direct die cooler, thank you. That's what I thought he meant. Yeah, so direct die versus just delidding on, I guess, liquid metal. You'll get an improvement. We did that test, the 9900K. And the problem is, so we didn't completely clean off the die. If you do, Rocket Cool has a solution that didn't exist when I was doing it, but it's it just kind of eats the indium, which is really nice, eats the solder, and then you can wipe it off, as opposed to what I did, which was jab it with a knife. That's not a great way to do it. So yeah, you're fighting over kind of single-digit gains versus the solder. Solder's easier to work with for LN2. If you're not doing LN2, which most people aren't, temperatures are a bit better with the D-lid, yes. Direct die I have not tested. So we had a direct die frame for $299, but it didn't quite fit. The tolerances weren't there because it was a pre-production sample. So I have not tested direct die. Vocaloid, $5. One time I flipped a PC duster over and blew it into a laptop, so basically a professional LN2 overclocker. Yes, that would spray very cold, whatever it is. Is it just, I don't know, just compressed air, I guess. That would do it. A super inefficient way to bring your laptop temperatures down. So let's just stop at 2450 and call it there for that. Let's get a run working with it, and then we'll do the memory finally that I've been saying we'll do for a while. Oops, that sucks. 2450, bring it all the way up. Okay, apply. 99% supplied. And make sure it works. And then once it works, we will do the memory, and we'll be pretty close to the end of the stream once we do the memory. I can go over the numbers again too for people who've joined in late. Okay. So let's bring that down. And Joe's gonna be here, I think, in a couple weeks. So once he's here, we can do this again with the Ryzen CPU as well, like 3900X, and see what a real pro can do. Craig Newcomb, $5, just bought a toolkit. I see your mod mat is on back order, maybe next time. Thanks for what you do. Yes, yeah, it feels like it's always on back order because we get them in, we buy as many as we can afford, get them in, and then they sell pretty quickly. The mediums, we still have a decent amount in right now. I want to bring this back up to a warmer temperature. I think that's going too cold at this point. Mediums, we still have. The large ones we did just order, but or actually they're shipping too. But no worries on that. Thank you for buying the toolkit. Nori SS, $2. Why do you have Snowflake under embargo? PS 110C. Yes, I need to get her in the B-roll for like maybe some of the partner model 5700s we're reviewing. I'm gonna warm this up. We're gonna keep it to the original temperatures I was running, like minus 90 or so. And we'll turn that fan back on too. We haven't really even been pouring much lately. And hopefully that will resolve the green screening issues we're getting. Okay. Richard Piozak, $5. What drivers are you using? I bought one Thursday and it was pretty much unusable because of all the driver issues. That's unfortunately. Ours haven't made it unusable. They've made it annoying, but not unusable. I've heard a lot of mixed stories on it though, so I guess it's really going to depend on like the games and platform and stuff, which is unfortunate. I am using, let's see, we can just pull it up. I want to say it's like the July 31. 19.7.5 is what we're using, if that helps you out. Okay. All right, so 2450 was like barely worked last time, but it did work. And we had that for it. Let's try that. And if that doesn't work, we'll bring it down a little more, although I don't want to because we already have a 2450 score. And start doing the memory. I'm gonna keep this time to like minus 85 because I think we're going too cold otherwise. Maybe for the memory. All right. Valerie Kosikin, 100 rubles. Would you show us the VRM temperature? Do power stages have any active cooling in the setup? No, they do not. They are, it's actually, you can't see it from that angle, but they're starting to frost over, so they're cold. It's getting cold by proxy by the LN2 pot. And I'm not sure what the temperature is. I don't have anything hooked up to it. We can check GPU-Z for a rough estimate. But if it's below 0, it won't give us one. I'll open it up after this and see if we're above 0 on them. It seems to be working better at this temperature. So let's stick to around minus 90. That's at least somewhat reassuring. And once we get through this run, we'll boost the memory and see what we get to. Tim Dahl, $5. People are claiming to have the Kingpin XOC BIOS on the reference cards. Does this sound plausible to you? On AMD? No. On NVIDIA reference, I don't think so. I don't know. They have the XOC BIOS publicly available on XDevs, but I don't know if I really wouldn't want to try and install that on reference, different PCB. All right, let's keep it to minus 90. This is GT2. This is that more memory intensive bench. A little too cold. Rockland Kalai, $2. Rocked GTX 290 up until 10 months ago. 2070 OC now. That's a big upgrade. 2070 overclocks reasonably well. It's all Torian's pretty similar, but it's definitely worth doing if you want to spend. It's only like 10 minutes to get a stable overclock on those. Big upgrade though, for sure. 5150 Paintballer. Are you going to review the X570 ASRock XT Challenger? Sorry, X570, 5700 XT is what I meant to say. I am going to review as many as I can get, so I'll ask them for their cards as well. But we're supposed to have a couple more partner cards coming in. We just got one in today. We'll be reviewing all those, so I don't know if we'll get that exact one, but we are working on more of them. All right, so 10506, last time it was 10501, that's with invariance. Let's go ahead and do that memory. Let's do 900, the memory. And run. Also, as a note, like I said, the shirt, we're closing orders on it today, so if you want the wireframe foil shirt, go to store.gamersnexus.net to pick one up. It's primarily a great way to support us if you like what we do, but also it looks really cool. And it's foil. And then the back's got the polygon shards on it, which I'll show after I do this pour. Polygon shards, Andrew threw on there. So you can pick that up on the store. Orders closed today, like I said, and then we're not making any more of them. Let's keep this at minus 90 to 95. The memory is overclocked now, so that will hopefully affect our score pretty noticeably. Well, big order in from Ronnie in Norway. Thank you, Ronnie. Ronnie in Norway picked up a mod mat, the Raglan hoodie, one of the foil wireframe shirts like the one I'm wearing, a two-tone shirt, and a cobalt blue beer glass from us. Massive thank you to Ronnie from Norway. Like I said, I'm not going to see all these orders during the stream, but I will try to shout some out. And Ronnie, if you have any questions about that big order, or you need any help with it at all, and same for anyone else who has questions about the store or needs help, just email support@gamersnexus.net, and we'll make sure everything's sorted if you run into questions. Kevin, also in Norway, cool. Picked up a foil shirt. We had an order earlier. I need to pay attention to this too. William in Pennsylvania picked up one of the shirts too. Thank you, William. Paying for our liquid nitrogen today. Probably gonna go through like 20 liters. Maybe 15. Not too bad actually. This card doesn't pull down as much as some of the other stuff we've done. That's a little too, okay, cool. Almost too cold. Just had an order come in too from Chet in, I think that said California. Picked up one of the shirts, thank you. All right, what's chat saying? I'm looking at the normal chat right now. Steve, do you plan to study the heat curve when you overclock? Yes, I am planning to do, this will be done off camera because it'll be kind of really slow and painful. But just like we did with Ryzen, the plan is to kind of walk it through controlled, use LN2 as a tool rather than just getting cold, and step it in like 10-degree increments or 5-degree increments and see if there's any clock behavior that's worth reporting. Just make sure it's not getting, okay, cool. Just trying to reverse it before it runs away, runaway cold scenario. So 10.563, not as big of a jump as I expected, honestly, but we did only increase it 25 megahertz. All right, so minus 90 or so, and 10.563. The scores are 72.4, 58.05, and that was 2451, 99%, 1.35 volts, and 900 megahertz. Okay. Can the card get cold? Yes, but the memory can't get too cold. I don't think this is, well, 9,000 is definitely not gonna work. I don't think this is gonna work, but let's just try a 915. I've had a lot of issues with the memory on this card, but I don't know how it's gonna behave now that it's cold. It might work better for us. All right, yeah, so memory brought our GT2 score up a bit. Ever restocking the chalkboard shirt? Yes, I do need to order some. I just took out a notice from our distributor that we're out or low on those, so I'm aware of it. I think on Monday our printer will start the next production run of that, along with the blueprints, because they're the same design, just different color and type of shirt. Any questions in chat? Can it run Crisis? No. Next question. No, it can't, because that meme needs to die. Are you using a heater? No, I really want to. Someone's asking if we're using a heater on the back of the card. I would love to. I have something that could work. I have some small like heater strips. They kind of make me nervous because they're cheap, and also they catch fire sometimes. But we could put those on the back of the card. It's not like a proper socket heater like the Kingpin one that we use for the 2080s, but it would heat the memory. It's just it's cheap, and I have seen them catch fire, and I really don't want it to. I mean, it's not like it's gonna burn down the studio, but it would destroy the card, and they make me kind of nervous. So we should use some kind of heating solution though. Can you try to print out some quality polo shirts? We've had a few requests on those. If there's enough of an interest, we could do it. I'm positive we can make either source a high quality one that's already out there, or just have one custom made. Like we custom make these shirts. It's our sizing and everything, our material choice. So I'm sure we could do it if there's interest. Any update on the fan test bench? Sort of. So I have some help on our EVGA CLC 360 review. If you're really paying attention, you might have noticed that there was another name at the bottom. That was Jake, assisted with testing. Or he should be in there. If not, I'll go check. But so it's the first time he's assisted with testing, where we've been training him up on the coolers. And with him helping take over some of the liquid cooler testing, that's freeing up time where I'm also going to put him on air cooler testing, and we're working towards the fans with that. It looks like it might actually pass, which is surprising me. But I guess being cold helps a lot. Okay. I take some super chats so we don't fall too far behind. Big Al, 268, $10. Thank you. Really interested in the Asus Strix review. Builder is excited about the VRM on it. If we get one, I'll look at it. I have some more coming in from Sapphire. Wow, that's a big jump. I'm thinking the last score was botched a bit. So we're at like minus 95-ish for that one. 10,658, that is a big jump. We'll go through the numbers in a second here to give people a percent scaling comparison. 2451, 99%, 1.35, 915. So yeah, if we get the Asus one, I'll review it, but I don't know about that one. Let me do another super chat here. Party Cat Plays, $5. Stuck with an RX 580 for now, but needs to upgrade my CPU. Streaming on i3 is painful. Yes, I'm surprised you can do it, unless it's a separate system maybe. Yeah, so what was I going to talk about? Scaling. Scaling, so we were at, originally, very, very first run, 9461 points. We're at 10658 now. If that doesn't really mean much to you, that's completely fair. 10658, let's do a percent increase. 9461 is 12.7% better. That's actually a lot better than I was getting when I pre-tested last night, so that's awesome. So 12.7% over baseline score. That was no overclocks or anything. It did have an LN2 pod on it, but I was keeping the card at probably 50 to 80 degrees Celsius for the GPU. So that's a pretty proper baseline. And then let's look at the individual scores. GT1 is more of a core thing. We were at 72.89 now. And at, let's see, 2300 megahertz set. Again, that's not the same as what we're getting, but 2300 set, we were at 68.92. So if you think of it from a gaming perspective, you're kind of like 4 FPS isn't even noticeable. But for benchmarking with something like this, it actually is, as you've seen, a pretty big fight to get here. So that was a 5.8% increase, pretty good. Memory, we're at 58.68. We were at 55.42 with no overclock, with other than the 2300. And that is an increase of 5.9%. Pretty damn good. We're pretty happy with that. Can it run Fortnite? Probably, but I can't make myself do it. Do you plan to review the CS381? I actually just put in a request to get one. That Silverstone case, it's really cool. I really want to, I have a personal interest in that because it's just interesting to me. So yes, we will be looking at that. Don't worry, TJ Backs can be over 100C, you're all good. Yes, I would say so. Okay, we can get a couple super chats and then we'll do another round with higher memory. So we had Beowulf 790, thank you. Is it okay to use the GN mod mat as a mouse pad? I think I answered this earlier, but like technically you can use it. Is it okay? I mean, it's not like it hurts my feelings or anything. No, it's not okay. We'll find you and tell you not to use it like that. It's just, it's not made to be a mouse pad. It is actually, it's properly an anti-static surface, so it uses a rubberized surface and it's got a gritty texture to it. So it's meant to be a work mat, like to protect tables, like in this instance. It's got that grit to it. There are some like anti-static mats on the market that are actually just literal mouse pads, which this is not. So it's not meant to be a mouse pad. If you want to use it that way, I mean, like you can, I'm doing it right now, you can move the mouse, but it's not a smooth surface. So if you want a smooth surface, put a mouse pad on top of it or buy something else. We've got mouse pads on the store. If you're okay with a grittier surface, then it would work. Luis Gustavo de Oliveira, $10, thank you. Steve, how far from infinite megahertz? We're pretty close, actually. We were at a set frequency of 2450 megahertz, which, as you all know, is actually about 40% of the way to infinity, so we're closing in on it. HBO Matt, $2. Allen 2 cool DisplayPort cable to run 4K 120 FPS 10-bit. Well, oh, there's a lot of water forming on that. Yeah, it's definitely Allen 2 cooled. JM, $2. Task Manager, kill Radeon and reopen, no need to restart PC. I can try that. Rufus Monroe, $2. Found a used 1080 for 300. Should I buy it? I don't know. 300. Maybe? Like, it depends on which model it was, I guess, for me. Let's do 2 more here. Geo, $2. Thank you. Considered making your own LN2 with a cryo pump. No, we have not considered making our own liquid nitrogen. Bearded Hardware, $199. What's the update, Slack up? Update is 10,658. Score up from 9,461. Pretty damn good. And that message was actually only 30 minutes ago. We're pretty on schedule today with super chats. Been trying to read them as I've been pouring. Okay. So let's bring this up to 925. This memory's not been stable at these frequencies before, so that's why I'm kind of baby stepping it. But it also hasn't been this cold before. Oh, water. This is why we have the paper towels on there. There's water forming now on just because they've been sitting here. So that's obviously not desirable. Let's get a new one of these. Actually, let's do this is from, Joe gave me these. Let's just do a transfer. I'm way too hot for this, yep. I should have done that before I hit run. But I also didn't know it was dripping water. That's why the paper towels are on the board, because the board's not insulated. So they catch the water that comes off the lip of the cup. But we can just transfer it all over here and then stop using this cup for now. Okay, let's try that again. All right. Can LN2 make RGB brighter? Yes. No, I don't think so. Navy. Reading it as Navi. Too much AMD. Navy. $20. Thank you. I really want to buy the 5700 XT, but stock here in Brazil is very low, and there are no custom models available. To be fair, there's not really any available in the US either, so you're not alone. It'll probably be like this for a while. Only if a miracle happened and you sent me one. Love your content. If I sent one, it would be this, and it would be after I kill it. So it might not help you. I don't know when stock is expected to arrive, especially in Brazil, but I mean, for the US, I was told it would be here basically this past week, and that didn't happen, so don't know. Wow, what's going on there? Should be more like that. Okay, so try 2450 again. I think it just crashed because I didn't have it cold enough. So we're gonna retry that at 925. All right, everything looks good. Let's kill these background tasks. 3D mark. And let's bring it down before starting this time. So we're gonna do minus 90 or so. Temperature, time spy, no CPU, run custom. All right. So that is minus 95. Let it sit there for a bit. Rodark 1. $2. That's one I have with 2080. I was referring to something earlier and I missed it. Sorry. Tech is amazing. $2. Oh, I got yours. Bearded Hardware. $2. Steve, can you please waste my time for me? Yeah, come visit. We can waste your time for like 3 days and do 2 live streams. I'm sure chat will love it. Get bearded hardware up here again. That'll be fun. So we keep this about -90. And I immediately bring it to -102. That was not intentional. All right. Okay, so we might actually run through with this 925 setting. That would be pleasantly unexpected. And it's going to stop here, so we'll stop pouring. Make sure it doesn't, okay, we're not getting any colder, that's good. Now it goes to GT2. The LN2 pour, which, based on the earlier conversation, I guess we need a sensor bar in for this. Uh-oh. All right. Okay, that cooled down very fast because the memory's getting hammered more than the core. This is way more accurate pouring with this one. Definitely good call by Joe. A bartender. Okay, it's pretty stable temperature-wise now. That's good. Too much. Okay, all right. I think it's gonna pass. Trying for as high a score as we can get today. Vasudeva Sankaranaranian, $5, thank you. Thanks, Steve. Your video helped identify that my Z270 gigabyte was overvolting stock 77K so much. I got 95C under stress test even with a 240. Yes, that will happen. I think that score is lowered. That will happen for sure. If you, some of those boards, that is a lower score. Some of those boards will run a very aggressive stock voltage curve, and I would encourage pretty much everybody to look at the voltages your auto settings are applying and maybe consider overriding them with something manual and better tuned. You could probably run a cooler because it can only really guess so much. All right, next question. Oh, bearded hardware again, 199. Chicken clocking at its finest. This was real. This wasn't intentional chicken clocking. This was, I didn't know how it would perform, so we're stepping up through it. Otherwise, the stream is basically crashing every 5 seconds, which, to be fair, has happened today as well. But I'm running it colder this time, and that was not a good idea. So it really doesn't like -100 or below -100. Okay. Dan Pellegrino, good to see you back, $5. Steve, thanks for wasting your time with me. Good to see you again, doing another great stream. Thank you for watching. Good to see you in chat again. Can recognize a lot of the avatars and names after a while. Replicant, $199. Building a new rig tomorrow, 3800X and 2070 Super. From what I was reading from Silicon Lottery, the 3800X on average has a better volt frequency curve, so it might be worth playing around with that and seeing if you can drag down the voltage below, like I just said, below what your motherboard is, trying to auto set, because the CPU might be able to do it if you get a good bin. Don't care about that. So I think I brought it too cold, and that's probably why it crashed, but we might be limited by memory at this point too. Let's try 935 on the memory. It was not not stable past 900 for actual review when we did it on this card. But it did just work at 915 and we had a big uplift. 925 we had degradation. Could be partly variance. It could be that we kind of missed the, I don't know, there's, Kingpin was explaining to me how there's marks with memory where if you, oh no, it just applied CPU. If you kind of hit a landing where it's just, it doesn't really work well, you can try overshooting past that mark, and even though it's increasing and seems counterintuitive that stability would improve or scores would improve, I guess with memory you can hit different landings where it's either stable or unstable, so we'll try that. Bearded Hardware, 199. Have a new compressor to spray out Allen 2 pots. So badass. And then says, Steve has become a real overclocker. So proud. That was at the timestamp when we had our first green screen. Yeah, air compressor would be great. We just use the hand dryer in the bathroom. We have an air compressor, but it's way too loud for stream. Nail it. $5, thank you. Says, greetings to the Gamers Nexus team. Also, Bearded Hardware. Joe, you're getting shout outs in my super chats. That's how famous you've become. Profection Games, $5. I had to RMA my 2070 Super recently for the Space Invader memory failure. Second. Have many people complained about that issue on the new supercards? I haven't heard it nearly as much as I heard with the originals. Like, I haven't heard it actually at all directly. I did see one person on Reddit or Twitter talking about it. So I guess it's still out there, but to answer the question is no. I have not personally gotten that many complaints. Pedro Moreira, $2. Why is 3600 stock cooler no OC at 92 and Prime 95? Well, it's the stock cooler. It's Prime 95. I don't know if it's running AVX, like as opposed to 26.6 if you're running a newer Prime. That certainly doesn't help. Stock cooler is not great. Getting some memory artifacting, but as long as it passes, it doesn't matter. You might want to, again, look into the auto voltage on the board. Oh, that's not an important part, fortunately. Borderline stability. I remember Jay making fun of me when I was saying it doesn't matter how many parts come off the car as long as it crosses the finish line. And Jay said, well, wouldn't you rather have the whole car cross the finish line? But we don't care. Artifacting doesn't matter. Just trying to get a score that's higher than the last one. Finally, some adequate cooling for the 5700 XT. Yikes. It's not that hot. As a GPU, I mean. The reference card is, but the partner models have been pretty good. All right. It survived. That's cool. That was 935. And that's a massive reduction in score. So, in this instance, the parts that fell off the car were the ones that make it go. Yes, we are... I don't know, let's give 950 a shot and just see if that works any better for us. Massive reduction. Does this tool have any like memory voltage stuff? SoC voltage. Graphics voltage. Maybe. Can we increase this thing? Let's see. Let's see if that actually does anything. I'm not going to change the SoC voltages until I consult BuildZoid or someone, because I don't know what the safe numbers are for that. Getting the whole car across the finish line is nice, but not a necessity. Yes, that is true. Okay. I'm giving it all she's got, Captain. I don't know how much more she can take, someone says. Parts fell off the card? No, we're talking about parts falling off a car, like in a race. The card has not had parts randomly fall off. That would be suboptimal. Michael March, $2. Is 850 sufficient for a 2080 Ti CPU with a 2700X? Yes. Bearded Hardware, $199. What should we bench in our next stream? I think a 3900X on this thing, or 3900X on a KP card. Okay, we can exit this. She's flying apart. What results have you gotten so far? So the most recent, the score is 10,658 for point of reference. I forget, I'm not going to do the math right now, but it's like 12% better or something than 9461 that we got originally. And that should more or less get you up to the results. Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not an overclocker. A lot of Star Trek references. Okay. Well, 3D Mark didn't detect the internet, so now we have to restart 3D Mark. I have increased the memory here, so I'm not thinking this is going to work, but we'll go with it anyway. Okay. Super chat of $5 from Drake Simmons. Thank you. Just throwing money at you because you guys are awesome. Well, thank you. Much appreciated. Really enjoyed those factory tours from a while back. I really like making those. It's fun to do that kind of content because it's so different. And we obviously don't get that many opportunities to do that kind of stuff. We learn a lot because the whole thing is we go tour with them for a few hours, learn from them, and then have to distill it down into a video, which is always a great opportunity to actually imprint the information into your brain, because otherwise it just kind of goes in and out. So trying to teach other people is always a great way to really learn something. So yeah, we'll do more of those once we're back in Asia. Technically, there's a few factories for water cooling in Germany and Slovenia and stuff also, so that's a possibility. Paul the Bearded One Downing, $5, says, have you used the X1 update yet? You can now lock clocks. Not used it myself, but you really should with the KP card. So I haven't used that update, but we used a different tool that does the same thing. But the insider information for you is that that update happened because of me. So I asked for some help with some stuff from EVGA, and in the process of helping answer my questions, they realized that, oh, actually we're allowed to implement this feature for public use. So you're welcome. But yes, I do plan on using that. Well, I don't think it's going to come back from that one unless we restart. Oh, okay, it did. It heard me. Yeah, so at 950, maybe not stable. Maybe not. Not sure what we can really do about that. Let's go down to 915 and see if we can get, I just pushed the core frequency higher to 2470 as well, see if we can get kind of like a final score in here while I go through super chats. ZDG, great to see you, ZDG. $2, can it run Minecraft ray traced? Well, probably. I'm gonna go with probably on that. Yes, the artifacting is almost certainly from the memory overclocking being not stable. Trying to keep up with chat and super chat at the same time. I don't like to paywall people out of interacting, but also it is really hard to keep up with everything, so doing my best. Got a lot of Fs when it died, and then people saying it came back. Allen 2 seems like overkill. Just ask Andrew to lend his Nintendo Switch cooler to pull those temps down. It's still here. He forgot to bring it home. Can you believe that? After Patrick and I tried so hard. Have you ever accidentally frozen your hair? No, but when I was in Boston for PAX East, and I walked to the convention center after taking a shower, my hair did actually frost over, and someone thought I was cosplaying as Jon Snow. But actually it was genuinely very uncomfortable and not cosplay. Well, this one's going pretty well so far. What do you use for your personal rig? In the office, I use like a 6800K or something. I don't remember. Half the memory channels and a 1080 Ti. At home, I use an 8370 underclocked and undervolted. I don't remember what video card's in there. I want to say a 1080 maybe. Probably 1080 Ti. Trying to read the other messages. Oh, someone said now you're a real influencer in response to me saying that that X1 update was indirectly my doing. What's more fun, benching CPUs or GPUs with Allen 2? I prefer GPUs. There's so many more knobs with CPUs. I think they take a lot more skill and patience and training. And so I do enjoy it, but it's easy to get frustrated with CPUs because it's just like there's always something. There's some other voltage you didn't know exists, or you need to start doing memory at some point, and that's never really fun because for me it's a lot of guessing and checking, so definitely GPU preferred for me. All right. So that was a score. 10674 is actually improved. I kept that like minus 95 or so. And the 73.02, 58.76, 2471, 99%, 1.35 volts, 915 mem. Okay. Yes, 8370 has an FX 8370. That is correct. Actually, no, I think it is an 8370. It was a 93 whatever, 95, the same generation with the 9000 series. But the VRM in that board was just incinerating, so I replaced it and then undervolted it and underclocked it. Okay, I should change something. Let's try 2480, and let's try 925 again. Okay. How many years have you been using that bulldozer chip now then? Pretty much since it came out. I built, it was a 9370. I think that's the name of the CPU. Correct me if it's not, but it was like the second, was it a 9590 was the other? It was the second most expensive 9000 series AMD FX chip. I specifically built that system because at that point, GN was really starting to do a lot more with hardware, and it was a professional decision rather than a personal one because I had been using only Intel up until that point, all my builds. And I said, I want some personal experience building with AMD and living with an AMD system. This is the bulldozer era. And I think that would be good for my knowledge of how this platform behaves. So that's what I built. I never particularly liked the system. It did okay, it still does, it's fine, but it had so many issues with VRM temperatures, and that's a mix of the CPU and, don't need that anymore, mix of the CPU and the motherboard choice. But the case and the cooling's plenty, it's just that it's too much VRM heat. Okay. Harold McIntyre, $10, says, I just really want an RX 5700 XT, damn it. Yeah, sorry, we're waiting for more of those to come in stock. Oh no, he actually said 5900 XT. Well, yes, we all want that, that's for sure. Thomas Marinick, $5 says, would you buy the 5700 XT to replace a 980 Ti? No, I don't think I would. We do have numbers for both of those in our charts for the 5700 XT review, I think. The 980 Ti should be in there, but I feel like I'd want a bigger jump than that. So I'd either wait a generation and buy mid-range, or mid-range in quotes, kind of subjective. Wait a generation and buy in this price class then, or do a bigger jump up. But that's just that's how I would do it. Tyler Hawkins, $2. Can it keep my beer cold? If you mean the LN2, then yes. Liam Batka, $2. How much do you pay for the LN2? In my area, it's $9 per liter. Wow, like $1 a liter? Less? So those are 180 liters, and I pay $177 before delivery charges. So, yeah, you might want to renegotiate on that. They did originally, two of these, they were charging me $880, which, if you're quick on your feet, you might notice is 2 times the cost. But I basically said, so that number's really high. And then she was like, oh yeah, how about 440? I was like, for 2, right? Yes, for 2. Okay, like, don't know where the first number came from, but margins were very good on it. 1,000%. Let's try this kill Radeon task that someone mentioned earlier. Nice, thank you for the suggestion. It's a bit faster. Could write a batch script to make it really fast. Okay, cool. That's a good suggestion from chat. So yeah, I think that's pretty much where we're stable. Probably gonna cut it off around there. Oops, this needs to be much higher. And I think 915 is about the limit on our memory. So we already have scores for this, but we'll do one more if it lives, and start winding down through the super chats and stuff. Got a lot of the normal chats in here today too, which is always nice. It seems like keeping the bench here, normally I have it over here, keeping it here is really good because I'm able to read while doing some of the pours for the bench runs. So try and do that more. Big Al, $5, thank you. You Bearded Hardware J, Kingpin LN2 live charity stream, make it happen. I would be down. I'm sure Joe would be down. The hardest would be KP just because he's in Taiwan, but I'm sure we could, we just did a charity stream. We just did a charity stream with Jay. You know what, let's just, okay. Killed it before it ended up crashing the system. At the EVGA, like 20th anniversary or whatever it was for them. It was an 8-hour stream for us. It was 20 hours for EVGA. And Kingpin was there. That was really fun, actually. We didn't do a recap video. I mean, you could watch the archive if you wanted, but it is 8 hours long. Jay did a recap video. I'd recommend watching it if you missed it. That was pretty fun. It was LN2 Masterclass from Kingpin mixed with Jay and I just kind of battling for scores with KP 2080 Ti cards. I missed. Okay, that's probably good enough for a run. That stuff really freezes in my hairband. Kevin Wise, $10. Steve, I purchased a mini ITX case and motherboard with an 8700. It doesn't have much space for a large heatsink and only has enough space for 120 AIO. What's the best 120 AIO you recommend? They're all so similar. It's the fan. Like, a lot of those are Ace Attack, and so ultimately the difference is going to be like LEDs and stuff, but let's just ignore those. And then the fan, at which point you can kind of buy any Asetek closed loop liquid cooler, which are made by NZXT, Corsair, EVGA, everybody. And just buy an aftermarket fan, like some higher RPM Noctua one or something, and throw that on there. 120s we don't really like, because a lot of the time they're in territory where a good air cooler would be better pretty easily, and the pricing is not that great on 120s. But if it's a really specific use case, like you're talking about, and you just can't fit much else than a 120, that is kind of where they actually do well, is in a scenario like that. So to answer the question, the one I would stay away from is the NZXT M22. I think rather than recommending a specific 120 CLC, since they are all mostly the same, I would recommend against the M22. It's a terrible cooler. And say just grab like maybe kind of run-of-the-mill Asetek, whoever's cheapest, EVGA CLC 120. Is there a Kraken X22? I don't know that there is. Or X32? There is in China. Of course, there's got some small one. I forget what that's called. And then just buy a better fan. That'd be my easy recommendation. Liam Fitzpatrick, how much of your floor is LN2? You can make a lot of the floor LN2. We can answer that question. How much of the floor is LN2? About maybe a liter or so. It does kick up for a little while after. It's kind of cool. Just evaporates. I think I have enough left for this run. So we've been running at minus 100 for almost this whole run, and it has been alive. Oop, that's going to be runaway cold because the bench is ending. $10,687, that's our best score so far. What's chat saying? Everybody likes the big clouds on the carpet. All right, so yeah, that was like minus 100 this time. And ever accidentally drink from the wrong bottle? No, not ideal. So that is 10,687, which is over our 10,674 before. And let's see, what else? What other numbers do we have here? 73.15. Someone says good, all the bacteria just died. 58.8. And that was going to be 24.69. 9%. Close background tasks like Explorer. It's not worth it. 1.35 and 9.15. That's what we ran. Running your own LN2 pot. This is an EK critical point. I didn't know this existed until they sent us two with some other stuff a while ago. And I was like, wow, I am never going to have a use for this. And here it is. So it had a ton of mounting brackets with it. The reason I didn't think it'd have a use for it was because it was kind of old. And so the whole spacing didn't really fit anything modern. But fortunately, it just so happened to have one, the only bracket we had that would fit 5700 XTs. So really happy to have it. It's working. I've talked to some LN2 overclockers, all of whom said it's not really good, and that's why they didn't make a lot of them or sell many. I believe that based on what looking at it. It's not a lot of surface area. It's not that much mass. Not very tall, but it is great for a relatively low-powered GPU like this one compared to a higher-end one, and yeah, no issues at all really. Okay. So I think that's going to be our score. We'll stop it there. Let me give you some numbers on the improvements of that. To put it all in perspective, 10,687 is our score minus 94.61. So we end up with a 12.9 6.9 improvement. So 13%, really damn good. Is there still enough oxygen in the air? Yes. Big room, ventilation, all that stuff. So 13% improvement on total score. That's awesome. And then we had a, what's max clock? You know what? We can do that. That's a good question. Let's run this windowed. So like I've been saying, set is not the same as get for the clocks. Oh, it should be logged in here. What was it? 2386. Oh no, there's a 24 in there, 2400. So our set was like 2470, and the actual number that came out was between 2386 and 2413 is the highest I've seen. There's a 2405. Seems to average like, call it 2400 is the memory, and then the GPU, and the memory was 915. So that answers that question. What card? It is the reference card. I wanted to use Sapphire, but it wouldn't fit. Why are you using the blowtorch? To show that there's oxygen in the room. It wouldn't light otherwise. Okay. Yes, and also a lot of the atmosphere is already nitrogen. So 73.15 for the GT1 score. I never did do this. Let's do a default run again and get that baseline score. I'm just gonna let it run. Doesn't need to be cold for this. Get a baseline score so we know what GT1 and 2 were.
I did baseline first.
I did, yeah, I did baseline originally, but I never recorded GT1 and 2. So 73.15 is our GT1 final score, and 58.8 was the GT2 final score. It's an 8086K. Well, your junction temperature is the sun. Yes, it does not seem to understand cold. So we're gonna let it run. I don't need to pour Allen 2 on it, I don't think, at this point. Record GT1 and 2, and then that'll be our top to bottom comparison. We'll close it out. Let me go through all the super chats. Let's see. Sick Brain, $2. Steve, you ever had LH2 hit your skin while pouring? If you mean like liquid helium, I've never used it. LN2, yes, all the time. So as long as it doesn't soak, it doesn't hurt. I wouldn't recommend it. Don't go, try and do circus tricks or anything like Joe does. But there's something called the Leidenfrost effect if you want to look it up, and it's basically evaporating or rolling off. So the problem would be if you cupped your hand and I poured it there, that would hurt. That would be like putting your hand on a stove. But because it can just evaporate and roll off, it's fine. When I pour from here, sometimes my hand will be touching like the metal screw on these Stanley cups. If it's touching that, it burns a little bit. It doesn't leave marks or anything, but it'll burn a little bit. So you have to be careful of stuff like that. It is, I find it safer to not use gloves though. It's pretty rare for it to actually hit my skin in a way that hurts. Using gloves just makes you lose all the dexterity because they're cryo gloves. They're not like leather gloves, so they're fat, and you might as well be wearing a spacesuit. Like, I can't even pick this thing up. Like, it's not great. So you pick it up this way, and now like I can't really maneuver. So yeah, I don't like the gloves. Minus 25, it's warmed up quite a bit. Can I put your logo on my personal credit card? Penguin fan said $5. I don't know. Your company probably won't let you do it. I can't do anything about it. Luis Flores, 99 cents. No essence, thank you. Redall Essence, $10. Keep up the great and informative content. It's such a help. Glad to hear that. Thank you for watching. I'm sure you watch for the information not contained in the LN2 overclocking, unless you're an LN2 overclocker, in which case, cool. Luis Flores, 99 cents. Thank you. Drake Simmons, $5. Would you expect noticeable gaming gains when delitting an 8600K? I'm looking for random tweaks for my CPU and GPU now that they're on water. Gaming gains, yes, if you're overclocking, no, if you're not. It's not like a GPU or Ryzen 3000 where it'll boost based on temperature. So if it gives you more overclocking headroom, then yes. It does. I would say do it. Like, first of all, my recommendation is delit the 8000 series. and do liquid metal. Get rid of one layer of silicone adhesive, keep the other, get rid of the one on the IHS, and don't reseal it. Just put the IHS back on there, hold it tight, clamp it in the ILM on the board. And if you don't overclock, just reduce your fan speeds, because now your temperature is going to be so much lower from getting rid of that adhesive and going on liquid metal, not nitrogen. You can run a lower fan speed and get quieter. Okay, so this was a bit higher than our original baseline because it is colder, so it's boosting a bit, but not that much. Original baseline is 94.61. This was 94.99. For point of reference, GT1 is 64.84, and GT2 is 52.38. And our final scores were 73.15 and 58.8, which is actually a pretty big uplift. So 64.84, 73.15, 64.84, 64.84. So that's a 12.8% uplift in GT1 from baseline, and then a 12.3% uplift in GT2 from baseline. Let me get as many super chats. I'm going to cut super chats off here. So 9:50 p.m. Don't send any more. I won't read them. But let me get through the ones that are here. 9:50 p.m. our time, I should say, which is now. Okay. Oh, we're actually at the bottom, I think. Nice. That's pretty rare. Did I miss anyone? No. I think we got everyone up to now. Okay. So let me get through there's only like 10 here. Ali Robertson's $3. Thank you. Has anyone been even to want to do look more like? Yes. Mongoli, $3.57, $2. Ali needs LN2. Ali needs LN2. They had a stroke. I don't know the reference. The Bowen, $20. Thank you for the very generous donation. Ordered a foil shirt the other day. Thanks for streaming. It's great watch during my own PC build right now. That's awesome. Good luck with it. Don't forget to plug in the EPS 12-volt cables. That's probably the most common mistake. Last time I built a PC, that's what I did. Dixon Software Solutions, $10. Any update on the Steve Simulator game that you teased in the year-end review video? The disappointment build. You got it, Andrew? Andrew is currently covertly plugging in the power for the camera while keeping us live. Only a pro can do it. Actually, when we were at EVGA and live streamed for 8 hours, I didn't bring the charger because I didn't think there'd be a reason we'd need it. We just brought batteries. And someone at I don't know his name, and I wish I did. Someone at EVGA knew we were low battery. And we asked him if he could find a charger for us, but there were no chargers that were the right spec and could fit. And so he actually took a charger that had the right barrel connector and spliced it into another charger, which was awesome. And we really appreciate that. That was able to keep us live during that stream. Anyway, so any updates to the Steve Simulator game? Well, we didn't turn it into a game, but maybe one day for some special event we could make some small Unreal Engine game or something. Okay. Oh, we did have that RTX one. We need to do more with that. Mike Stockmar, $2. What CPU is that? 8086K, not the 7980XE. Adam Schumann Sr., $5. When will we see Captain Overclock shirts? I don't know. We could do it, I guess. I could get them made. Patrick Leonard, $5. Just sending you €5 because I forgot the street number on the shipping address of my shirt order. So now someone has to edit it manually. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. It happens all the time. If you notice that kind of thing, typically we catch it. Well, we always catch it because the software doesn't let us ship. But if you notice it first, just email support@gamersnexus.net and he'll sort it out for you. He's great at that stuff. Don't even worry about it. Tyler Hill, $5. Recycle the LN2, question mark, like in a closed loop refrigeration circuit or cascade cooling system. So yes, go to our channel page and type in RoboClocker, R-O-B-O Clocker, one word. And there's a cool video we did with Vince, two of them, Kingpin. And one shows that exact solution you're talking about. It's only a few more of these. ZDG, $2. Yeah, AM3 VRMs sucked dirt. They were so bad. Yes. $2 message retracted. Thank you anyway. And Raphael Oyer, $2. Can you do 40 dBA noise normalized test on the Wraith Prism? Well, I said earlier we're starting to work on air coolers finally. with our new assistants. So yes, we will be getting to those. Those are on the list. Okay. So I think that's all the super chats. They're cut off. Don't send any more. When do we do a fan event in normal chat? No current plans, but I do want to do one at some point. You can catch me at LTX, which will happen again next year, at other events, or we'll do some kind of fan event locally at some point. Okay, so let me read off like 3 or 4 store orders. There's one from Joseph in Utah. Thank you for picking up the wireframe shirt. This one right here. There's one from, big order, from Rainier in the Netherlands. Picked up a foil shirt, a raglan two-tone hoodie, the teal logo anniversary edition shirt, which is the teal version of this. That was the original foil shirt we did. And then also a two-tone shirt. Thank you for the big order, Rainier. We had one from Maxime from Canada. Picked up some raglan hoodies, two-tone hoodies. James from Colorado picked up the wireframe shirt. Thank you, James. Chance in Des Moines picked up, this is what I like about the US addresses, is if I look at the abbreviation for the state and I can't remember what it is, I can just read the city and pretend like it was intentional. Picked up a teardown crystal and a mod mat. Thank you. And Indiana maybe, and Steven in Ontario, in Toronto, Ontario, picked up a foil wireframe shirt as well. So yeah, like I said, I can't read them all. There's too much stuff going on during the stream, but thank you for your patience. I try to split it between, we get all the super chats, try to read a lot of the normal chats so we don't paywall the interaction, because that kind of sucks, but it is also difficult to keep up. And some of the store orders. As soon as this, I'll give it an extra like 15 minutes. But when the stream ends, plus 15 minutes, this shirt's not going to be available anymore. We're taking it offline. We're basically through our allocation at this point, so just have to get them printed in the sizes that we want and sewn and all of that stuff. So if you want one, store.gamersnexus.net, and then it's gone. It's done. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you got some entertainment or information about the 5700 XT. I need to shut this down at this point because it is starting to melt, and we don't want water on the board or on the card, but everything did survive, so that's really good. All right, anything in chat for me? Thanks for the chillaxed stream. Take care. Well, thank you for watching. All right, guys, next one hopefully will be with Joe. I'll probably do one before then, but Joe's gonna come up here. We'll do a 3900X and maybe a 5700 XT together in the same system so we can have some more chaos going on with the pores. And that's going to be it. Subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.